So you do right, right?
Yup. Are we live? Is it? There's that delay. Okay. Hey, darlings. What a time to be alive. It's Chessa. This is Chessa Talk. Now, this time I'm here with a good friend, Ron, and he's going to help me do a bit of a deeper dive on the topic from episode 1, which was on dragon sickness, the mythical or not so mythical illness from Lord of the Rings that may be plaguing our multi-billionaire, ultra rich community and possibly plaguing society. um, Ron, so
Hey,
thank you for joining me today. Very happy to have you.
how you think so?
Okay, now tell me, did you already have a background in Lord of the Rings? Could you tell me what dragon sickness as a term, as an idea, what does that mean to you?
I actually don't know too much about Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. Uh,
Really? Oh,
yes. I
my
did
bad.
read the Hobbit, but it's been
Mm.
a long time. I delved into Dungeons and Dragons way more after getting a taste of the Hobbit. The Lord of the Rings books I did not read. It was the
Uh,
Hobbit that I almost finished.
oh well, I commend you. I never read the Hobbit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. And I read the Silmarillion, so that's kind of like, yo, yeah, I read that and I read that, but I didn't read Lord of the Rings. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay,
Like I
so
said, I dived more into Dungeons and Dragons afterwards.
okay, just really quick. Dragon sickness, I believe, was introduced in the Hobbit, and specifically became a focus or reason to be talked about because of the dragon Smaug. When uh, what's his name? The first Baggins, Bilbo. He goes with the dwarves, and they all go into the mountain, and they come into the cave where Smaug was staying for however many years, filled with his hoard of gold and riches. And I forget the name of the dwarf. Is it Torin? Essentially the leader. He becomes stricken with dragon sickness and
Right, right, right.
pretty much abandons all his principles to find a way to keep this hoard for himself, even though that at one point could mean his death by this dragon. Um, so ultimately, dragon sickness seems to refer to, in Tolkien's world, refers to a maddening that comes over a person when they acquire wealth, extreme, obnoxious, unnecessary amounts of
Right,
wealth.
right, right.
Um, Now, could you tell me what that concept might mean to you now that I've just spit all that out?
Uh, yeah, I think it's a warning, right? It's like a kind of, it's like a very old tale spread around a lot of different cultures, and kind of like token for that, kind of like bringing that back out, right? It's like a warning. Um, its extreme grief leads to, I guess, doom or rupture. Uh, it just
Mm,
kind of implodes or something, right?
yeah.
It can't be sustained. It's unnatural. So it always leads to bad karma. That's how I see it. And that's kind of what we see right now around the world.
Mm,
I think everybody can see that. Um, the warning people have been yelling, more and more people have been seeing, so more and more people have been yelling about it. So um,
mm,
it's very clear. The Epstein files tells us that this is basically how they make their money. They gamble on these things and then they try to like rig them up, right? Big
mm-hmm.
casino, right? And there's like so many different kinds of warnings and relating back to I guess dragon sickness, to use a fantasy term, yeah. It's it's that psychological condition. These guys they can't stop. Uh, there's no moral values anymore because you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned the unsustainability of it. Um, I had previously touched on a bit the the unrealistic expectation when we hear things like in the news, Jeff Bezos wants to replace all of his workers in the warehouse with AI and robots and automatization.
Yes, yes,
And then the obvious question comes of, well, if no one is working, who's buying your products? Who are your clients if no one has
you're
income?
right, right.
Um, and that's why I started to think that perhaps this it's not just what a token shows it as an enchantment almost like
Yeah, that's
but
it's very much like a spiritual, psychological, magical
yeah,
condition.
some sort of mental illness where you are
Yeah.
no longer acting in your own best interest anymore, and in fact you're acting against your own best interest. um
Yes. Yeah.
I think maybe our society, in part because the wealthy have so much power as to the politics and just how society will work overall, um, through media and whatnot. But I'm wondering if we as society, particularly American society, because we have an idealism about capitalism, about being rich, becoming rich, that we kind of excuse when we see that acting against your own well-being, and we continue to put it on this pedestal for some reason. We don't care that they're hurting themselves or hurting others, um, perhaps because we just see it as an ideal to attain. But when you think about the ultra rich and this working against your own best interest, how do you see it as hurting themselves as the ultra rich person, and how do you see it hurting the economy, or I'm sorry, not the economy, but the people, the society around them, those around them in general, if you see any harm at all?
Um. So I think if we're gonna try to talk about it through the lens of dragons like that, um, the enchantment is that as I accumulate more wealth, people are gonna come after my wealth. And while there's a certain truth to it, the paranoia kicks in and makes it that everybody's coming after my wealth. Therefore, I must alienate everyone from me and my wealth. Okay? So maybe in that sense, a certain part of it is true in trying to like replace the work with the drones and trying to make sure I can continue to amass even more wealth, right? What Jeff Bezos does is keep other businesses down in the sense that he can copy a new business idea. Like more than one company I've seen have made claims about this, um, uh, where they'll have a new product design or something, and then they release it, and it's doing great, and then Amazon comes in, and then oh shit, this fucked with my pricing, and like they'll just make it, and there'll be maybe a slightly cheaper version of it, right? 'Cause there's similar, to like cheaper parts, right, from like China or whatever, and then the quality of that design goes down, and it's also flooded in the market. So
Mm,
the original business person that has to sell it through Amazon or some other thing. You know, it's like, these crony business practices, right? And that's in a way working against the self-interest of the people. Because now they're getting something that was supposed to be good but only last like a month or something, can snap at any point. Uh
mm,
and brings that idea down. ultimately, right? It works against people in a lot of ways. In that sense, that's just one example.
Yeah. Well, hmm.
And finishing it off with because you're gonna have to repeat that question. That two-part question was a little long.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the droid, replacing workers with the droids so they can amass more wealth. Yeah, because they're thinking that, oh, these guys, they'll get a job somewhere. You know, doesn't have to be here. You know, or just wrap up, put your bootstraps up and all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
get to think that because they already rigged the system in their favor, right?
but
Um,
that approach to trying to maximize profits by cutting workforce, I think already highlights some very significant misunderstanding that may be part of why they hurt themselves in this way. Because if they think cutting workforce maximizes profits, then they don't understand the investment of workforce.
no,
And
no, they don't.
they don't
No,
understand
it
the
doesn't
investment,
seem
they don't
so.
understand its return. Um,
Yeah,
and and then I'm just spitballing. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a clinical
yeah,
psychologist.
same here, same here,
But
same here.
if
Like my knowledge is maybe I have a master's in Dungeons and Dragons, like
but
but
I'm wondering if that is a sign of like being mentally incapable, um, of being in that position of being a CEO, of making those kinds of decisions. You lack the faculties, maybe not permanently, but for some reason you seem to the ultra rich who says, I'm going to eliminate my workforce and automate them so I have
yeah,
no
try to cut
workforce
them off. Yeah,
expenses at all. um, they might not have the faculties to understand enough to make the kind of decisions someone in that position
yeah.
needs to be able to
Every
make.
I
um,
think I think uh some of what corporate media pushes in terms of how people make their money it's really geared towards those people who can make those type of big decisions, right? Like this is
mhm.
news for them in a lot of it. So they could do what they need to in this big casino. And the biggest players are always going to be making the most money. This kind of pattern in like, I guess the capitalist world is seen kind of like you can see it in YouTube. Uh, the biggest content creators are making the most money, so to speak, out of YouTube. And then you got your, semis out there, the semi professionals, and then the rest of it is like most of YouTube. It's like, they don't get too many views like that. Right? It's kind of like this pattern.
Yeah, I guess
You know,
I
like an
imagine that's
80/20
kind of
pattern.
more like the market is drawn to particular suppliers. There's more demand for
Yeah.
particular suppliers, and that's fine. I mean, you can't help if your company, let's say you make a soda and you're the only soda that anyone wants to drink. There are other soda companies, but you're the only one anyone wants to drink. That doesn't make you a monopoly. It's
Mm,
when you
If
buy
it's,
out all the
I
competition.
hear you. Yes, yes. No, I hear you. There's from that sense, true, but that can only be true for like at a local level, right? In like a free market, because when it's released globally, when the audience is broadened, um, people have different tastes. They're always gonna be. And
Mhm.
when someone else is making a similar product because maybe they like your design and product, like Amazon likes your product,
Mhm.
they're gonna try to make their own version. This has been true. Monkey see, monkey do. We copy. Um,
I don't.
so
I don't
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
that's necessarily a bad thing if the
I
market tends
don't
to.
necessarily see that as a bad thing, but I believe that if it is like an ideal, like, and I'm not somebody who really knows much about economics, but in the spirit of understanding money, I guess, um, it just feels like when people are gonna try different things. That's why like two restaurants, same kind of restaurants, I think the same kind of vibe and kind of same thing. They might be competing with each other, but they have an effect on each other, and they're both in business. Um, it's,
I'm not
you're
sure
talking.
I'm enough of an economist to really comment on how much options need to be on the market for a free market. But I do want to
No, no,
stay on the are are the ultra rich sick? Well, obviously it's not going to be every single one, though America apparently, I don't know if you caught the tax the rich rally with Bernie Sanders in New York City, but he specifically made mention of of the how many Americans would be affected by the billionaire tax that he's looking to turn into legislation, and it was
mhm.
something like just over 900 people. That's it. Only about 900 people, less than 1,000 people would be affected as individuals. And so
Right.
as I don't, oh, I'm stammering. I don't think that every single one of those 1,000 people would necessarily be ill if dragon sickness truly is a mental illness that skews judgment and decision making to the point of self harm and harm to others.
I
But
I hear what you're saying, and we can hope for that. Um, However, like, how long has the council been corrupted? And maybe it's too early to start talking about it that way because you're talking about how dragon sickness is affecting everybody over there. But seems like the richer you get, right?
mm-hmm,
The more you have to engage in crony practices to get to stay at the top, to get to the top, to push others
mm,
from coming down. It becomes all effective. Um, and yeah, if the bigger you are, the more I guess you do that. That's why they can hire all these corporate lawyers because they're just so big that they're just looking for it. They're feeding it off of it. That's America for you.
up to this
So
point, yeah.
yeah. So yeah. What was the question besides that? If
Interesting.
you're saying that if everybody's like that, I mean, we can hope that. I think it's we hope
Um, I don't
humans
think
don't like that.
I don't think every person who's in the ultra rich category is like that. Um,
No, like Ben Jerry is not like that, right? But like most of us in the company, they bow to the corporate ways and try to make more money. I see your point that way.
yeah, it seems like enough people because they have influence such powerful influence on politics and economics that it affects
Yeah,
everyone else. It seems like enough of them have this problem. Um, because when you hurt, in my opinion, again, not an economist, uh, but when you hurt the mass population economically, you are going to be hurting your business. As a big major corporation, you're hurting your business because you're hurting your consumers. You're hurting your clientele. That doesn't help you. And they don't seem to recognize that. And I'm reminded right now of Britney Spears. And I don't have many examples off the top of my head of a ultra rich person who was deemed to be a danger to their self or others and unable to manage their own wealth. And maybe it only happens to women. If it happens, maybe it only happens to women. I don't know. Or maybe that was just the most public example. But that was somebody whose the riches are still hers, but she wasn't allowed to make any decisions with it or what to do with it. Did that help her? Not if you look at the recent videos she's been posting, but um, but I do wonder at what point would society say the the ultra rich are doing too much damage and they can't be trusted with their own finances.
I think I think if you go by history, and this is based on what other people who follow this type of stuff are saying, so I guess I'm just parroting what they're saying and it makes sense to me. But um, a lot of people already understand that, and I would say like it's enough people are hurting to for where it's like become common knowledge or even normally for apolitical people to have that understanding that sense. That seems to be the sentiment. Now, I just had a family gathering last week,
Nice.
and the people who were following politics, they were all talking about one thing, and it's related to that one thing. Okay?
I'm sorry, you said they were all what?
I was at a family gathering
Mm-hmm.
last week, and this is me just giving an example. It was a larger than family gathering. It was a baby shower. We had a lot of people there.
Oh,
The people who were talking about politics were only talking about one thing, and the apolitical people didn't even want to feel it because
um,
I think they inherently understand how crazy it all is, and they try to live their life. Okay, like it is actually that polarized. Um, but yeah, for the ones that who were talking about politics, they were all talking about Epstein. That's the war in Iran, and Epstein. That's the two things that they were all talking about. Everybody. Okay.
so
Um,
they're talking about investing and what's the other thing?
Epstein.
Oh, Epstein. Oh, wow.
Epstein. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Okay. Yeah.
loaded topic.
Yeah. 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 So and that's kind of like the representation of the ultra wealthy. Um, the ultra wealthy, I think, is a little different than somebody who's just really wealthy. Like we're talking like that that big extra difference. Like when you are like the number three, number five, probably number 10 in the world. Like there's probably like some extra shady shit going on. I wouldn't say it's every billionaire, but I would say it just feels that way based on I guess some vibes and what you could understand from the Epstein file if we were able to look at it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it makes complete sense that they're the minds of the ultra rich would be focused on different topics in a different place than
yeah,
the minds of.
because they cannot be policed. They
Mm-hmm.
can bribe their way out of whatever they want. Look at their children, for example. And that happens with multimillionaires already. So imagine the billionaires and then the multi-billionaires, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, when it comes to a lot of millionaire families, we're talking multi-millionaire families. They will send their kids to the best colleges because they can bribe their way in. They just gotta pay for, they gotta fund the gym or something.
There was
You
a
know?
there was a ultra rich. I don't know if he's a multimillionaire. Ex a former employee or former staff, some sort of executive, like high level,
Yeah,
from BlackRock in New York City.
yeah,
I'm adding a link to the description to this video where, very briefly, he talks about how his father told him the point of having money, the point of being rich, is so that you don't have to think about money. So
yeah,
he suggests, like, please tax me more, because I won't think about it. I probably won't even notice it. Whereas other people, they'll notice every last cent and they'll feel it. Um,
yeah,
and he makes mention of how you hear the call of many years now. Oh, if you tax the rich, they'll leave New York, for example, or they'll leave wherever it is they're talking about
Yeah,
possibly
yeah.
taxing. But then
I
they don't.
don't know. Yeah, so I don't fully know for sure if that is the majority sentiment, but it does feel like the majority sentiment amongst the very rich people, right? I mean, I have people that are upper middle class and they're business owners who even like I guess 2 years ago would have been saying that out loud as if that's their own sentiment too,
Oh.
right? But I think what ends up happening is that a lot of it is just talk that that people repeat because they're wealthy enough to sit down and listen to the financial newscasters out there, on the news channel, right? It's like it's something that keeps popping up in a lot of these news channels. I see it a lot. And what ends up happening, from my understanding, is that they don't move. But when they do move, it's just a few, but the majority of them stay, and they pay their tax.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's like it's a threat. But is it always fully expressed by the people who express a threat? Most people who make threats, they don't fully go through follow up to the threat.
Yeah, but
It's a
what?
sentiment,
Why do
it's
you
a threat.
feel the need to threaten, right? Because usually when we throw a threat out, it's because
There's
we
something
feel
to it.
threatened ourselves. Like
Yeah,
we sense danger,
it's a danger to their money.
and we're trying to ward off that danger. Ah, it's a danger to their money, but is it a danger to them?
I
They
think,
seem
see,
to feel that way to
see,
these
see,
specific
see,
people.
it's my personal social feelings is getting mixed in here with this, so I
Mm-hmm.
can't speak for others. And again, like I said, like I don't understand economics that way, right? I'm,
Same here.
I pay somebody to manage my stuff for me. That's
Yep.
me. I'm lazy like that. Okay, so I don't know shit. Okay, I swear to God, I don't even check my monthly emails. I just get that the highlight. Fuck. Anyway, um, I'm sorry. What were we talking? We were talking about the ultra rich, and we were talking about how
Well,
it affects their mindset.
this former executive from BlackRock was basically suggesting that like what were you talking about? What were you talking about? That's the kind of
Can basically
attitude
move to Florida
that
or
they
something.
should have about money. That's what being rich and having money is for. So you
Yeah,
afforded
yeah.
that luxury to not even think about it. But he does mention when asked why do these ultra rich people keep trying to squeeze more profits, higher profits, greater dividends? Why do they keep pushing this? What is
I
the
think
difference
I
of
think it's a
uh-huh.
culture of capitalism. I think it's the culture of American capitalism. That's what I believe. You know, um, we have pushed that type of ideology. I think historically for a while. I think for as long as I've even been exposed to news as a little child, it just kind of seems like that's what shows up on the TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
In our movies, it's kind of like that. I think I benefit from being able to travel when I was young, and I think people outside of the country, immigrants, I think they understand it a little bit better because they see the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the culture does definitely push for money. It's why we're also like the super capital of the world. It's part of the American culture as far as American capitalism is concerned. Okay. Um, I think not that you don't have the right to pursue your claims and you know get what you deserve, but then there's also people who try to rig the system. You know, I mean, in general we call it fraud, but then there's some people who can put up lines. Well, they're being really. dishonest about it. You know what I mean? You know,
Mm-hmm.
lingering and all that. And that's just not okay. And I think in America you might see that a little bit more because it seems like tasting that bread is makes it
What's the point
okay
of
if you
chasing
tell yourself.
bread if you're not hungry and you never will be? Like you're set up to never run out of bread at this point. You'll have more bread than you could ever
I'm not
eat.
sure. I it's I
So,
think it's like the moral value does degrade. Um,
mhm,
if here's the thing, let's look at it from another perspective. It's like this example I've thought about. I'm a psychologist, so I'm very thankful for it.
okay.
Remember what ends up happening to prisons and the prison guards?
Yes, the Stanford
Yeah,
experiment.
yes, that one. I always forget what it's called, but
The
I can
Stanford
describe
prison
it
experiment.
really well, right? It's like you remember that lesson. It's the uh the the prison guard with the power ends up abusing it. And it wasn't all of them, but it was so many of them. Did it end up being all of them over time? It ends up being like a culture? I don't know. I can't remember that, but I feel like while at the beginning it definitely wasn't all of them. It's been a while since I read it,
No, and
but I
the
remember that
experiment only
lesson.
ran for 3 days. But what's maybe saddening
Okay.
is that where were the fellow guards? Where were the peers to rein in their own peers who were going out of control? The vast majority of rich and ultra rich may not be sick, but what are they doing to rein in those who are and are affecting everyone else around? Because just because you're not doing it doesn't make you immune. I wonder how far the damage will need to go.
Maybe I mean I heard on the news. It's a little funny that you mentioned that. I heard on the news just to use as an example. The guy who is like the CEO of Five Guys.
Oh,
Apparently, he like there was like some kind of error that happened with the marketing of buy one get one free. I don't remember the details of that story, but I do remember that because of the mishap, he paid his workers 1.5 mil. Now,
oh,
that's
nice.
across, I think. Yeah, it sounds nice. It sounds nice, and I don't know the number of workers that are affected.
Hmm.
But if it's like a big split pie, then it's not much money. But you know, if the pool is smaller, then those workers benefit. You know, right now I know it was 1.5. That's what I know. And it sounds like he did it because he doesn't want to get Luigi. You know, he's like, no, we should
Wow.
give back to our workers. I don't want to get shot. Like I think he said that in an interview. Maybe he was saying it jokingly or tongue in cheek, but it was said. And he's a CEO with a lot of money, so people are paying attention.
Well,
And
that's
maybe
beautiful.
that's partial, you know, that he said it in humor because there's truth in humor. You
Wow.
know,
If you could find that for me, I'd gladly post the link so you could share it. That's a beautiful
sure.
story. We could use more stories like that. I mean, those stories are out there. The algorithm isn't geared to
Yeah,
put it in
yeah,
our
it's
face.
crazy. You gotta be plugged in at all times to like know what's going on. There's too much happening everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I gotta wrap up. We gotta wrap up because I gotta run out and get some stuff handled. But I'm really glad I was able to take this walk with you through this topic, Ron. You offered a lot of points and were willing to uh, play with the thought experiments I threw out there, and I greatly appreciate it. And I personally feel lighter about the topic now than when we started. I was a bit more heavy-hearted, but I feel a
mm.
bit lighter, a bit more hope. So thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I wish I could feel the same, but if if I offer objective value here, great. You know,
Oh.
thank you.
Well, I guess we shine on each other, so maybe next time I'll shine on you and warm you up some. All
All right, Joseph.
right.
All
Thank you
right,
so much.
thank
And
you.
everyone, I'll catch you next Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining